Good morning, fellow Rotarians and friends. I have the privilege and honor of serving as District Governor of District 6960. I stand before you in a situation that I know many of you, I would venture to guess to say all of you have experienced the devastation of a weather-related event. And I know, as you know, it is a long road to recovery. So I thank you very much for standing with District 6960, as well as the 2,400 members who are at home doing their best to recover from this. Just 2 days ago, Hurricane Ian made landfall. The sustained winds were 155 miles an hour, and bearing in mind that a Category 5 is 157 miles an hour. It was the fifth most powerful storm that has made landfall in the United States history. But I don't want to talk as much about the statistics of it as much as the losses that we have sustained. We have heard of Rotary members, friends, who lost their homes. We have a club secretary in Benita who evacuated her home, and when she returned, it was a vacant lot. I wish that were an isolated story, but unfortunately it's not. We have a friend in Fort Myers who, when the floodwaters started rising in her house, and bear in mind that a lot of the homes are single story, so when floodwaters start rising, it means that the whole house is underwater. She left the house. She took her 8-year-old daughter and their dog, and they got onto a kayak until they could be rescued by a passing boat. When the waters receded, she returned home to find out that she no longer had a home. Just one of the many stories. Sanchez-Bao Island, we had the president of the Sanchez-Bao Captiva Club with us up on stage, and for those who don't know what it is like to access an island, you have one means of ingress and egress. In this case, it's the Sanchez-Bao Causeway, which was largely demolished by the storm. If you can imagine, there's 200 people who are registered being on Sanchez-Bao, and each of them have to be either air rescued out or by boat. I heard a horrible story that a friend of our president's relayed, that her friend's father was with everybody in the house, and he passed away Monday evening, sleeping on the couch. Well, unfortunately, there was no way to get anybody out, so there he remained in death, and it is just something that I can't comprehend. We have a Rotarian who lost his home in 2017 due to Hurricane Irma. He messaged this morning to say that he lost his home again, second time, due to Hurricane Ian. Now, he is an incredibly upbeat person. As he lies in the hospital at Johns Hopkins, suffering from advanced blood and bone marrow cancer. But he's thankful for the many, many blessings that he received as a person and as a Rotarian. This all happens because of you. The outpouring that we have received has been incredible. There was a Fort Myers couple, older elderly couple, who as the water started to rise in their home, again single story, they tied each other together so that if they're washed away, at least they wouldn't be alone, they would be together. It is just an unimaginable contemplation of the end of your life. We have so many stories like that. The pictures that you're watching, they don't nearly do justice to what the folks at home are experiencing. We are Rotarians. We will build back. We have our disaster committee in place. We've opened 5 sites so far for hot food and clean water to distribute to the public, and it's just a start. But we cannot do this without everybody's support in this room and without every district support back at your home. We have a link that is set up. There's a QR code where donations can be made, and for disaster relief efforts, we would greatly appreciate any support you can offer. We also have received overwhelming outpour of offers for service and for materials for disaster relief, and we will absolutely and gratefully accept those offers as well. Just want to thank you so very much for listening, and thank you for standing with us during this difficult time.
Could you just stay on the stage, please? Governor Neal, thank you so much for that description and for those photographs of what we know is a devastating time for your communities and your clubs. Many of us here have been through that, and I can tell you this is when people of action, the people of Rotary, will prove that we are your Rotary family. We will be there for you every step of the way. We thank you for what you're doing. I'd just like to announce I've had a chance to speak to my District Governor Deborah Howell, and we'd like to start our contributions with a contribution from our disaster fund of $5,000 to your cause. So thank you.
Please welcome to the stage District Governor Debbie Meegan from Rotary District 6890.
Good morning. This is really difficult too because my district is in Florida, the Tampa Bay area, and we were spared the brunt of it. So the last couple of days have been really difficult being here and being inspired and being educated, and you know, this has been an amazing summit. But while my body's here, and I think I can speak for almost everyone who's from Florida, our hearts have been in Florida. So thank you for your support, thank you for your prayers, your understanding, and I know we'll continue to work together as we build back what we call home. So thank you. It's been a really good session so far this morning. Have you enjoyed the speakers? Yes. Pretty amazing, very inspiring, you know, as we take the task on empowering girls and empowering women and giving those female our female partners the opportunities that they need. So this next session spotlights on a topic that is important to us today, that is more important to us than it ever has been, and that's partnerships. In this busy, chaotic, complex world with so many humanitarian and educational needs, how can we as Rotarians have even a bigger impact than we already do? And that answer is through partnerships. partnering with organizations, governments, and foundations that share our values and our beliefs. Today, we will hear from some very dynamic speakers who recognize the value of partnering with Rotary. From our vision to 1.4 million boots on the ground, Rotary is a significant force, and partnering with major international organizations allows us to participate in a variety of projects that do good all over the world. We're proud to showcase our next presenters, and I'm sure you don't want to miss out on any of them. But right now, I would like to introduce District Governor-elect Alfred Current, District 6960, who will share his Rotary moment.
Prepared with about a 7 or 8 minute speech, was told to limit it to about 2 in the interest of time. And District Governor Chain, you know what that means with the microphone. But I wanted just to share a couple of comments. One is to say how grateful I was to have won the Gene Lottery. I was born as a third-generation Rotarian. I didn't know that there was anything other than being a Rotarian. And I heard that the 2 best days of one's life is the day they were born and the day that they found out why. And once I got a chance to experience the Rotary journey with my family was an awesome blessing. So I want to say today, to say thank you to those of you who are now my Rotary family, my brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles, and some grandparents in the room, and to say thank you. You have broad shoulders, and thank you for what you've done to make the pathway to where we have today. And I have just one brief story that I wanted to talk about that I think relates to the partnership portion of what we're going to hear about today. And it's when I walked into a Pet's back in Orlando and met a guy named Blake Collingsworth who lost his son to drowning. And we all have a lot of issues with the water wherever we live in whatever district. And he wrote a book called Josh the Baby Otter, and that was out of his grief. And you can download that for free on an app on your telephone today, and you will get a full picture, Josh the Baby Otter. So I took that back to my club, used $5,000 worth of DDF, and we wrote a grant, and I was all in with a mascot, etc. And we did a fundraiser, and we did another fundraiser, and we did a 4th fundraiser. And as a result of those fundraisers, we have accumulated over $150,000, and I want so I don't miss out on some of the things that we did. The money funded free swim lessons for those who could not afford them, funded 5 district grants using over $30,000 of matching DDF for water safety education. It opened the door to start Rota clubs in 3 elementary schools and 2 Interact clubs in middle school. Rotarians created partnerships with the county school system, the Sheriff's Office, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, and a major community foundation, along with the local United Way, which funded over 30,000 Josh the Baby Otter books distributed to kindergartners over 3 counties. And the public has seen no less than 3 dozen newspaper articles, and every kid in Englewood knows who Josh the Baby Otter is. So, imagine if you could change the world for the better, what one thing would you do? What is your why? And if you believe what I believe, then walk with me and let us journey through Rotary and experience passion and power unleashed, and we will change the world together. So at this point, I would like to give great pleasure, I think, to Marshall Butler, past district governor. Marshall, welcome. Give him a warm welcome.
Thank you, Alfred. Thank you, Alfred. Well, it's my pleasure to introduce a man that needs no introduction. How do you introduce a man that needs no introduction? You don't. Ladies and gentlemen, John Hewko. Wait a minute. I forgot in the Rotary rule book, it says that a past district governor that's given a microphone will take the full allotment of 2 minutes. And I'm not giving it up. Well, speaking of rules, John Hewko has famously said at many times, there are no Rotary police. And it's a good thing, or I'd be in Rotary jail. Let's see, Rotary pants and skirts. Holding a district conference the day before a Rotary International Convention begins in the same city, check. And a few other infringements that I won't mention because I don't think the statute of limitations is up yet. But then again, John Hewko has a pair of Rotary pants. John Hewko spoke at my district conference in Atlanta. And so the lesson here is, if you're going to break the rules, make sure the Rotary General Secretary is complicit. But when John Hewko says there are no Rotary police, he means it. Because John knows that change is fundamental to keeping Rotary relevant. And John is steadfast in his commitment to Rotary and its ability to make a difference in the world. As many of you know, John's family was forced to flee Ukraine from communist oppression, eventually arriving in the United States to begin a new life. John's desire to give back to the country that welcomed his parents with open arms is what motivated his interest in public service. John holds a law degree from Harvard University, a master's in modern history from Oxford University, and a bachelor's in government and Soviet studies from Hamilton College in New York. In March 1992, John spent several days with experts in Prague and assisted with the initial drafting of the new Ukrainian post-Soviet constitution. Our thoughts are with John as his country goes through the terrible war of Russian aggression. After working for the law firm of Baker and McKenzie, John became Vice President of Operations and Compact Development for the Millennium Challenge Corporation, a U.S. government agency established in 2004 to deliver foreign assistance to the world's poorest countries. And then came the letter. In 2010, John's father, Lou Hewko, a longstanding member of the Rotary Club of Clarkston, Michigan, saw in the Rotarian magazine that Rotary was looking for a new general secretary. Lou sent John that ripped page from the magazine with a note urging his son to apply for the job. Thankfully, John applied. John still keeps that letter, which is written in half Ukrainian, half English, in a framed in his office in Evanston. And because of that letter, as Rotarians, we are fortunate to have a leader who's able to oversee a diverse staff of 800, as well as a global membership of 1.4 million. A leader with the tenacity to understand that challenges are an important part of growth. If there is no risk, there is no reward. And because of that letter, we have a leader who remains steadfast in his commitment to the greatest social network on the planet, a social network of people of action with a common bond of integrity, ethics, and a desire to help others. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to introduce to you a man who will tell you there are no Rotary police, a man that really needs no introduction, but I present to you the General Secretary and CEO of Rotary International, John Hewko.
Also, thank you, Marshall, for that story about my father and how I came to this position. It really was a life-changing moment for me when he was reading that edition of the Rotary magazine and saw that advertisement, ripped it out, and mailed it to me. And it really certainly changed the trajectory of my professional life. And I think through that experience, I learned two very valuable lessons. One is really great things happen when you read the Rotary magazine. And the second is always listen to your father. But Director Jeremy, Michelle, congratulations on a fantastic summit, great program. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for the invitation to be here. I'd also like to formally congratulate President nominee Stephanie. I did have the pleasure of speaking to her by video right after the nominating committee elected her, but I haven't had the chance to formally in public congratulate you. So really look forward to working with you when you become president in a couple of years. And a small little sort of factoid for Rotary history, when the year that Stephanie will be president will be the first time, but hopefully not the last, in Rotary history where both the president and the general secretary will be of Ukrainian descent. So, so just as the Ukrainians are punching way above their weight as they try to beat back that horrific Russian invasion and what's happening in their country, so too the Ukrainian contingent within Rotary are punching well above our weight. But today's topic is about partnership, and I've sort of been asked to share my thoughts in a few words on the importance of partnership and to really frame the session and frame the comments that you're going to hear from the various speakers who are actually doing fantastic work in partnership. So I think as Rotarians, when you look at this concept of partnership, I would suggest there's sort of three lenses that we need to look through when we look at this concept. And the first has to do with our action plan. Jeffrey, Stephanie, Barry did a fantastic job yesterday of sort of laying out the importance of the action plan and laying out the sort of elements of it. And as you know, one of the four priorities in the action plan is to increase our impact. And so what that means is, as an organization, this concept of impact really needs to permeate everything we do at the club level, at the regional level, and at the international level. We do fantastic work. We know that. It's incredible at the club, the regional, and the international level. But in my view, if we really want to increase our impact, if we really want to live and breathe that fourth priority in our action plan, we really need to continue to embrace the concept of partnerships. Because partnerships and our ability to partner, both the local, regional, and international level, is going to play a key role, a huge role, in our ability to increase even more the tremendous impact that we have. Because, of course, the goal of these partnerships is really to sort of make sure that 1 + 1 is equal to 3. Because it's really through partnerships that we can leverage our skills and leverage the skills of our partners to truly make an even greater difference and to achieve more. And I think if we look at partnerships, I think there's no better example than what we've been able to accomplish with polio. As you all know, back in 1985, Rotary, not a multilateral institution, not a Ministry of Health, a nonprofit, had really the audacity to say, we are going to eradicate a disease from the face of the earth. But we couldn't do it alone. And so in 1988, we joined with UNICEF, with CDC, with WHO to create the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, later joined by the Gates Foundation, and most recently by Gavi. And it's really through that partnership that we were able to really create one of the most successful public-private partnerships in the area of global health in history. And even the Gates Foundation, when they joined us, certainly financially, they had the wherewithal to fund the entire Global Polio Eradication Initiative. But even they realized they really needed to partner. And the reason GPI is so successful, and we're delighted to have with us representatives from UNICEF, one of our great partners. We've got Aziz Menam here, who from Pakistan, who's been leading the charge for many, many years on polio. The reason we've been able to be successful is precisely because we brought together partnerships that each have complementary skills and abilities to really get to that 1 + 1 is equal to 3. And of course, our role in the GPI is to the advocacy, the fundraising, the boots on the ground. And I'd suggest that same dynamic plays out and needs to play out in all of the projects that we do, whether they be local, regional, and global. And so it's partnership that will really help us achieve that, or continue to increase that fourth priority in our action plan, that is to increase our impact. But then the question comes up, why is impact important? Well, I think one obvious reason, I think it's self-evident, is that the purpose of all the work we do is to do good, to make the world a better place, to improve the lives of people. And so if we can do even more and have even more impact through partnerships, why would we not do it? It's, in my view, simply a no-brainer. So the first lens that we need to look at when you think about partnerships is our action plan. Increase our impact. And partnerships are absolutely a key element in making sure that our projects, at whatever level, have significantly more impact. But impact's also important, in my view, if we look through a second lens. And that has to do with the philosophical underpinnings of our grant model, which was called Future Vision. And as you know, it went live in 2013. And we're talking about our global grants, our district grants. And greater impact was one of the key underlying philosophical underpinnings of Future Vision when it was launched. So the idea was, rather than solving, let's say, 1% of 100 problems, let's see if we can use our grants to solve 100% of one problem and really, really make a difference and really have impact. And I think this concept that really underpins Future Vision of doing projects that are larger, more scalable, sustainable, and with greater impact are very important for three reasons. One, we want to get more bang for the buck. Again, we want to do more and have more impact with our Rotary dollars. We want to do greater good. But there are two other reasons, I think, why it's also important and why impact is very, very important. And the first is, to the extent we do larger, more scalable, more impactful projects, that increases our image in the community. That increases our public relations. And the more we're able to demonstrate ourselves as not only people of action, but people of action that really make a difference, that makes us much more attractive to members, whether it be locally, regionally, or internationally. Polio, for example, eradicating polio is going to get us significantly more public image improvement than, let's say, which would be an equally noble cause, let's say decreasing malaria by 5% in 30 countries. And so better public relations means more members, and that brings us to the second reason, and that is more members means more donors. If you take out the Gates Foundation match that we receive, we are almost exclusively reliant on the generosity of our Rotarians and our foundation, and that's fantastic. So the more members we have, the more donors we have, the more donations we have to our foundation, the bigger the financial pie for us to use for our works, and we create this constantly expanding virtual circles. So doing projects with impact that are sustainable and at scale, and again, that have impact, will really, really help, in my view, comply and try to meet with these underlying underpinnings of Future Vision. And that is a key element, in my view, impact, partnership in the success of our new grant model. And finally, I think the third lens that we need to look at when we look at partnerships is that partnership with well-known organizations on significant projects, such as our partnership with UNICEF. And this would be true whether it's at the local level, regional, or international level. It really puts us at the table with other thought leaders and greatly increases our profile. And again, just look at polio. We're sitting at the table with 6 other world-class organizations that we would not be there were it not for polio. Polio puts us at the table with the leading international global health organizations and has given us publicity and stature that sort of doing a series of one-off projects would never get us. So these, in my view, are the lenses that through which we need to look and why partnerships are critical. First, greater impact, fulfillment of our action plan, that fourth priority. Second, it's a critical component, impact of our Future Vision, of our grant model, and partnerships will greatly help us expand that. And third, it puts us at the table with other high-profile organizations, increasing our own stature and profile. We do have a number of partnerships that we do, categories that we embark on at the global level, whether that be strategic partnerships, resource partnerships, project partnerships, service partnerships, etc. But there's one I'd like to focus on before closing, and that is our programs of scale. This is a new program which the trustees launched several years ago at the foundation, and the idea here is to take a good chunk of money, $1 million, $2 million every year, and allocate it to a project that's really going to have impact that also involves partnering with other key organizations. It's a competitive process to the extent that your Rotarians in your respective districts would like to participate. We encourage you to apply. And this year it was granted to a project in Zambia, where we're partnering with Gates, World Vision, and a number of other world-leading organizations to really try to eliminate, if we can, malaria in 2 underserved regions in Zambia. And I think these programs of scale are important. We need to support them, not only because of the impact they're going to have, but also they're going to perhaps create the farm team for potential new corporate projects once we eradicate polio. And again, let me stress, polio is our #1 priority, period. Robert, I don't want to have the same problem I had when someone misconstrued my words at the last time I spoke, okay? It is our #1 priority. However, we do now need to begin thoughtfully thinking about what are you going to do after polio. And these programs of scale perhaps can create projects, programs that we might be able to utilize after polio, because right now we do not have a product that we're doing that could serve as perhaps a replacement to polio. So in conclusion, partnerships, in my view, are critical to our future. I've listed partnerships that we have at the global level, but really what's more important is partnerships at the club, the regional level. Rotary is about the clubs. It's about what we do locally as much as it is internationally. And it's at the local level where we really need to start partnering, continue to increase our impact, increase our public relations, increase our membership. So I think we all look forward to hearing from concrete examples from the following speakers on partnership. It's an important concept for Rotary, and I very much urge you, as you're working with your clubs, to incorporate partnership in your projects going forward. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Rotarians. Wait, is it still morning? We have been privileged this morning to hear of many impactful projects and inspiring people. We are truly people of action. And as General Secretary John just said, people of action, people making a difference. My name is Nancy Carr. I'm the district governor for District 7730 from Eastern North Carolina. General Secretary John, on behalf of the leadership of Zones 33 and 34, we are so appreciative of you joining us here today. We know how much impact we can have as a club, as a district, and as a zone. But partnering with other organizations just expands our ability to do so much more. Thank you for your knowledge and sharing your ideas, and we look forward to hearing from you more later in this summit. It is now my great honor to introduce Michael J. Nyenhuis, President and CEO of UNICEF USA. Michael isn't able to be here today with us in person, but through the miracles of Zoom, which we are all quite familiar with by now, he is still joining us today. And because of the great partnership with UNICEF and Rotary, we have 2 incredible representatives from UNICEF organization here. Nicole Brown, Director, Global Cause Partnerships, and Christina Shapiro, President of the Impact Fund for Children. Welcome. Thank you. Michael truly exemplifies the spirit of Rotary, with a passion for serving others, especially the welfare of children. With over 25 years of global humanitarian and developmental experience, he's devoted his entire life and career to improving the health and well-being of children and families across the globe. In 2020, Michael joined UNICEF USA as President and CEO and brought not only his breadth of experience, but also his fundraising acumen and results-driven personality. Prior to this, he served as President and CEO of AmeriCares for 6 years, as well as CEO of the global nonprofit MAP International for 13 years. In addition to Michael's duties at UNICEF USA, he's currently active on the board of Interaction, the largest coalition of U.S.-based relief and development organizations working internationally, and the Leadership Council at Concordia, an organization and forum that promotes cross-sector partnerships for social impact. Previously, he also served on the USAID's Advisory Committee on Voluntary Foreign Aid, as well as chaired the board of the Integral Alliance, a global network of faith-based NGOs. Michael hails from Minnesota, received his MBA from Emory University, and a Bachelor of Arts in the Urban Studies in Communication from the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay. Recently, Michael traveled to Romania and visited the refugee children and mothers who had fled Ukraine. He appears on the YouTube channels of ABC and CBS to emphasize the need to support children's mental health as part of that emergency response. Since 1988, UNICEF remains one of Rotary's strongest partners in the fight to eradicate polio. And together we see a world free from this paralyzing disease. Please join me in a warm welcome for UNICEF USA's President and CEO, Michael J. Nyenhuis.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Governor Nancy, for that kind introduction. And thank you to President Jennifer, International Director Jeremy, and the entire Summit Organizing Committee for inviting me to join you in Baltimore. And I'm so sorry that I can't be there in person after navigating the UN General Assembly's many side meetings in New York last week. I'm not surprised I ended up COVID positive. And so I'm speaking to you from quarantine in my home in Connecticut. Regardless, wherever I am always excited to talk about the power of the UNICEF Rotary partnership. With your global membership and our global reach, when we join hands, we have a transformational impact on children, families, communities, and the world. Let me start by sharing a short video that shows what happens when we work together. Please roll that video.
5. Jonas Salk's polio vaccine has been in use in the U.S. for 30 years. It's been almost 10 years since the country has seen a new case of polio. What was once feared as a plague was now proven to be preventable. But the rest of the world was still suffering terribly. Polio still haunted 125 countries, paralyzing 350,000 innocent children that year alone. Someone had to take on the mission of ridding the world of polio. Enter Rotary. 3 decades later, polio has been 99.9% eradicated. And as of today, just 2 countries continue to report cases of wild polio virus. Rotary and its partners, including UNICEF, are on the cusp of one of the most monumental achievements, not just in public health, but in human history. Billions of dollars raised, billions of vaccines delivered, millions of lives saved, mobilizing world leaders, businesses, thought leaders, spokespeople, and a global network of 1.2 million Rotary volunteers who are committed to fighting polio to the very finish. Rotary's groundbreaking work has set the blueprint for global response to other diseases too. The infrastructure set in place for polio eradication helped Nigeria overcome an Ebola outbreak in 2014 and laid the groundwork for delivering 1.5 billion vaccines so far in the fight against the COVID pandemic. Rotary's network of volunteers works hand in hand with UNICEF and others to serve the hardest to reach places, to reach the children most in need. Together, we never give up, and we're not done yet. We are this close. And together, with the rest of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, we'll continue the monumental and life-saving work we've been doing and make the final push until this close turns into mission accomplished.
What I love about that video is that it shows when Rotarians, UNICEF staff, community members, and children themselves work hand in hand, we have the power to transform lives and the world. So what is our collective superpower? What is it that we can do together that no one else can? I'll answer that with a number, 20 million. Let me say that again, 20 million. That is the number of people who are walking today who would otherwise be paralyzed from polio without your bold action and our partnership over the last 30 years. We've reduced the number of children paralyzed by polio by 99.9%. It is one of the single most important public health achievements in our lifetimes. And you did that. You, local Rotarians in big clubs and small, across this country and the world. Think about that achievement for a second. I really want you to own that. In fact, say this with me. We did that. Say it again. We did that. And let me hear you all the way in Connecticut. We did that. Congratulations. 20 million is a huge number, but even more important are the stories, faces, and names behind it. Here's one. 4-year-old Moman lives in Kandahar, Afghanistan. He, along with 24 other children, were led and even carried by Subhania, a vaccine mobilizer, to a nearby vaccination site. Together, we have trained 4,600 women in Afghanistan as vaccine mobilizers. They live in the communities where they work and uniquely gain the trust of families so their kids will get vaccinated. These women work in one of the toughest places in the world, but the polio program in Afghanistan is so close to eradication because of them and because of you. The job isn't done, of course, as long as polio exists anywhere. It is a threat everywhere. The recent case in Rockland County, New York, has shown us that. The last steps of getting to zero are the toughest. I know all of us in this room anxiously await the day when we can declare polio only the second disease ever to be wiped off the face of the earth. That day is coming, so we can't give up now. UNICEF is committed to standing alongside you to get the job done. Last year alone, we procured, managed, and delivered over 1.1 billion doses of polio vaccines. It is a complex undertaking, and with your support, we are doing more than just vaccinating children. We're delivering on a promise to give children an equitable chance to thrive and fulfill their dreams. You know, the challenge of getting vaccines to children isn't always one of supply, a procurement and logistics question. Sometimes it's a demand challenge. Families need to want the vaccine. Gratefully, Rotarians play a critical role in educating communities to overcome vaccine hesitancy and misinformation. Communication and social mobilization are the bedrock of our polio work together. Rotarians work with UNICEF and other partners to prepare and distribute mass communication tools to reach people in areas isolated by conflict, geography, or poverty. The funds Rotary provides are critical, but so is the advocacy to national governments that is only possible because Rotarians are so well connected and respected within their communities and countries. You know, all of the pancake breakfasts, silent auctions, and hole-in-one fundraisers you have spent countless hours planning and donating to in order to raise funds for polio are having a sustainable and transformative impact on communities and lives. I've seen this firsthand as a member of clubs in this region. When I lived in Georgia, I was a member of the Brunswick Rotary Club and later the Downtown Atlanta Club. And I've worked with Rotary clubs in Cote d'Ivoire and Bolivia on Rotary International funded projects. I remember the long hours local Rotarians put in to make their communities and the world a better place. You call this service above self, and though we might use different words, the same is true of UNICEF staff on the ground in communities all over the world. And it is also true of all of those we've brought into the polio fight in places like Pakistan, where our collaborative efforts are so desperately needed right now. When the devastating floods pushed 33 million people out of their homes last month in Pakistan, losing crops they planted to feed their families, submerging entire schools and hospitals, and washing away every belonging, leaving families in dire need, UNICEF quickly mobilized. 9-year-old Arshia is one of the 16 million children affected by that recent climate disaster. She collects water from a collapsible tank installed by UNICEF in the Army-run camp where she and her family have taken shelter. She misses school and is eager to return home, but her families don't know what, if anything, remains. We had 400 staff on the ground ready to respond, but it was the 19,000 trained polio workers who proved to be the true heroes. The day before the floods hit, they had just finished a vaccination campaign. They swiftly shifted their services to deliver basic but necessary goods, educate communities on water, sanitation, and hygiene, erect makeshift shelters, provide breastfeeding support, and so much more. In the days and weeks ahead, their support will continue to be invaluable as we protect communities from waterborne disease and malnutrition. This is what you've made possible, a new public health infrastructure designed for polio, but available for so much more than that. We saw the same use of this infrastructure during an Ebola outbreak and then for COVID-19 as well. It's exciting to see how our partnership continues to evolve to meet new and emerging challenges. That's why I'm thrilled that together we are establishing new locally led collaborations, combining the strengths of UNICEF teams, local Rotarians, and our collective partners. In Kenya, through one of these new locally led efforts, our two organizations are providing water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities for up to 400 schools. This program is designed to eventually transition to a safe schools and violence prevention program. Similarly, in Nigeria, UNICEF water, sanitation, and hygiene teams collaborated with local Rotary leaders on an advocacy and behavioral change campaign. The Use the Toilet campaign seeks to educate 47 million Nigerians about the importance of safe sanitation practices. In the Pacific Islands, we're building yet again on the infrastructure developed from our successful joint polio work to develop a new routine immunization program with governments. The Give Every Child a Future program aims to vaccinate 100,000 of the most disadvantaged children and adolescent girls across 9 Pacific Island nations from rotavirus, pneumococcal disease, and cervical cancer. While funds were being raised to support the program's ambitious goal, UNICEF USA activated our Bridge Fund to accelerate the resources so the campaign could launch many months sooner than it would have otherwise. This innovative financing is one more way we are thinking outside the box together to deliver on our common mission. Jennifer, I'm glad you'll be visiting this program next year and to see the enormous impact it's having. And I know all of us are anxious to see the video of you swinging from a rope bridge or steering an outrigger canoe to arrive at the most difficult to reach homes with vaccines. Sounds exciting, and I might have to join you. Rotary and UNICEF are uniquely able to work in the toughest to reach places like this because our teams live and work in the communities we collectively serve and have unmatched knowledge and relationships that make all of this possible. I know of no other partnership that is going the last mile like ours. To continue to foster these local relationships and deliver greater impact, Rotary and UNICEF have developed the Local Collaboration Framework, a getting to know you guide to encourage collaboration between Rotary districts and UNICEF regional offices. It offers clear counsel, policies, templates, and other tools to empower UNICEF and Rotary to work together locally, and it recommends 10 steps for successful collaboration. Through assessing local needs and discussing what each partner can bring to the table, we can go both broader and deeper in our impact. UNICEF's priorities and Rotary's 7 areas of focus have great alignment and overlap. I know empowering women and girls is at the center of Jennifer's theme this year. It's a priority for UNICEF as well. We appreciated the opportunity during Rotary Day with UNICEF in March to share the many ways in which UNICEF and Rotary are collaborating to empower women and girls. Reimagining and recovering education, especially for girls following the disruption of learning to millions of children, is just one of the ways we can protect and uphold the rights of children. We know girls have lost the most with the shuttering of schools, not just loss of learning, but loss of protection, nutrition, and social benefits. Without providing literacy and education opportunities, we will never tackle other issues. The young poet, activist, and UNICEF supporter Amanda Gorman shared a poem at the UN General Assembly last week that put inequality, youth empowerment, and sustainability all in conversation with each other and challenged us to act. I hope you'll look it up, listen to it, and feel inspired by her words. Another area of important partnership for our two organizations is what I'll call the silent emergencies. ones that don't make the headlines. Sri Lanka is one example. There hasn't been enough news stories on the fact that an estimated 30% of the country's population faces food insecurity and will require humanitarian assistance. Rotarians in Sri Lanka reached out to ask how they could partner with UNICEF to get supplies so desperately needed into the country. UNICEF has the largest humanitarian warehouse in the world, and Rotary has the largest membership in the world. So it's only natural that our complementary resources and network were able to activate quickly to meet these needs. Rotarians raised $125,000 in the first month and worked with UNICEF, the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Education to put together a wish list for life-saving medicines as well as education and wash supplies the country is so sorely lacking. Our warehouse is able to send those supplies within 24 hours of receiving an order, and Rotarians will be standing by ready to unload the shipment and deliver those supplies to hospitals and schools. And they aren't done yet. These Rotarians have set a goal to deliver $1 million in impact. I can't wait to see how they will, what we can achieve together. Finally, let me add that what we've learned in our 30 years of partnership is that we complement one another. UNICEF and Rotary each bring unique talents, knowledge, and reach to deliver the greatest impact. We share key values, we trust one another, and have a shared vision of a more equitable world. In pursuing our mission, UNICEF won't stop, and I know you won't either. That is our superpower. To our good friends at Rotary International, to the regional and district representatives here today, and to every individual Rotarian, without whom none of this would be possible, I say thank you and thank you again for all that you do to make the world a better place. Enjoy the conference. Wish I could be there with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. Are you still with us? We were so very pleased that you were able to still join us here to share the incredible message of UNICEF and how partnerships with Rotary strengthen both of our organization. I think it's extremely to mention that even at the highest level, a CEO and president still makes an impact both in his company and around the world. On behalf of Jeremy Hurst, it is my distinct honor to present Michael, a Paul Harris Fellow. And since he couldn't be here with us this afternoon, we will be giving his certificate and pin to Nicole. All right, my fellow Rotarians, I'm District Governor-elect Herb Smith for District 7360. Okay, Nicole, I see you. Last year, we went to Woodstock. Peace. This year, we're reliving the Beatles, so I hope you'll all come together after a hard day's night, because we're all going to need a little help. Everybody knows that one. On our Magical Mystery Tour Saturday night. Oh, and by the way, P.S. I love you.
Please welcome to the stage District Governor Deborah Howell from Rotary District 7020.
Greetings, fellow Rotarians and guests. I acknowledge the presence of Rotary International, Zones 33 and 34, and district leaders. I am honored to be given the distinct pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Ryan Rowe. Ryan is the Executive Director of the Haiti National Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Initiative, commonly known as HANWASH, an inspiring and audacious multi-stakeholder effort to deliver safe, sustainable, and affordable water and sanitation for every household in Haiti. Ryan holds a Master of Business in Administration from the Schulich School of Business at York University in Canada, and a Master of Public Health from the Gillen School of Global Public Health at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. His accomplishments in academia and nonprofit work have won him awards and honors. He was named a Rotary Peace Fellow 2010 to 2012 class at Duke University, North Carolina Peace Center. We clap for that. In addition to his native language, English, Ryan speaks French, Spanish, and Portuguese. Please join me in welcoming my partner and friend, Executive Director of HANWASH, Mr. Ryan Rowe, to the stage.
Good morning, Zone 33 and 34 Rotarians. How are we doing? Wow. So, it's really, really good to be here. Thank you for having me. HANWASH was started in Zone 34 by District 7020. Many of those people are right here in this room right now. And, you know, when I came to Baltimore, it sort of just dawned on me as I was walking through the halls of the hotel. From the moment I walked in, you know, bumping into my HANWASH colleagues, but then I was also bumping into folks that I had been presenting to virtually for the last 2 years. And just being able to meet them in the flesh was so satisfying. To meet you all in the flesh is so satisfying. But then I also realized, of course, that my Peace Fellow district, 7710, anyone in the room? Yes? Yeah. Well, they're also part of the zone. So now I'm crossing paths with folks that I met when I lived in Chapel Hill. And that just feels so nice. Really, really feels nice to be able to reconnect like that. Look, I have to be honest, the situation in Haiti right now is really raw, really emotional. I'm sure that you've all seen the news and how that's affecting Haitian Rotarians is traumatic. It's very, very hard. It's emotional for me too, and I think that's made me nervous about this speech because the last 3 or 4 weeks, seeing everything that's happened has sort of, you know, what do you say? To come up here and be able to talk about something like what's happening in Haiti and what we're doing there. You know, a reality check, right? The world feels really bleak right now with what's happening. Pakistan with the floods, in the Ukraine, COVID, the global recession, inflation, and Haiti. But when I look around the room at all of you, I get so inspired because all of you are working to make the world a better place. All of you are working to solve those problems. So I see possibilities. And that inspires me. That's the reason why I became a Peace Fellow, was to join you all in making the world a better place, as John Hewko said. If there's one thing I'd like to leave you with today, it's that HANWASH does not need to be specific to Haiti. HANWASH is the story of what Rotarians can do when they join hands to make the impossible possible. And this model, the way that we are working with Rotarians in Haiti, is a recipe for how we can engage citizens and local leaders in any country, in any part of the world, to work on any social, economic, or environmental issue that matters to you. You think about that for a second. That is the story of HANWASH. I'm 44 years old, and it took me, I would say, probably a good 42 years to find my purpose. You know, I always knew that I had a calling to serve the world, but I struggled to figure out how to do that. About 14 years ago, I was working in corporate finance and infrastructure banking in the Middle East. I pursued that path because I wanted to make a difference in the world. You can make a big difference with a lot of money like that, but something about it felt empty to me. I was working late hours, but it felt somehow one-dimensional, and I wasn't connected to the communities, and certainly not in the Middle East, where I was working in a fancy-dancy office tower. And so I started to spend my spare time working to connect local citizens to volunteer initiatives. I started to spend most of my spare time doing that, and then eventually all my spare time doing that, and I realized I was more satisfied doing the humanitarian and development work than I was working at the bank. And that's when I realized I needed to find a way to pursue a career in helping those in need in a way that really felt impactful for me. And that's when I landed and discovered the Rotary Peace Fellowship. My Peace Fellowship eventually took me to places like Malawi, Kenya, and Ghana, where I worked on health and water initiatives with UNICEF, the WHO, and CDC. Eventually it took me to Haiti. The Peace Fellowship unlocked a huge number of doors for me. You know, when I think about what Rotary can do and what we are doing together, it reminds me of a quote by Margaret Mead. And no, I don't even need to say the words because you all know that quote, but she said, or she wrote, you know, never doubt that a small group of individuals committed and working together and being thoughtful can change the world. In fact, it's really the only thing that ever has. Isn't that the essence of Rotary? I didn't hear you. Let's give a hand. Really. This, for me, is the essence of Rotary. And I think that one of the things that's not said in that quote by Margaret Mead, the original quote, is about working together. And I think that is implied, but we need to really remember about how to work together. And that's a story I'm going to tell you a little bit about today in Haiti. When I lived there about 7 or 8 years ago, you know, I didn't want to just be in Haiti for work. I really wanted to understand the people and the country, and being as beautiful as it is, and you know, many of you being from the Caribbean, you know the allure of the mountains and the jungle and the beaches, and I was just pulled to that. So I strapped on a backpack and I climbed up into the mountains above Pétionville, Port-au-Prince, and set out on a 2-day backpack across the countryside, 30 kilometers, alone. And the people thought I was crazy, and I thought I was crazy, but it was a lot of fun, and it just really gave me insight into the people of the country. And while I was hiking, I came, sorry, I need a slide, please. There we go, thanks. So while I was hiking, about halfway through the trip, my legs are hurting, the bag is heavy, I'm walking downhill on this path, strewn with rocks, and it was really a tough step. I came across this boy, and he accompanied me 30, 45 minutes. We were talking. He was telling me about his family, telling me about his schooling or lack of it, and he was a farmer. And we were speaking in Creole and me in French, and somehow we were communicating. And what struck me about him was the simple happiness of his existence and the hardship that he suffers in his life, but he still had a smile on his face. And for me, that kind of speaks to the essence of what Haiti is this resilience. It's about, you know, the ability to be able to be knocked down or to be held back, but to fight and to get back up and keep smiling and keep going on. And, you know, for me, that just really inspired me. It was, you know, my first real personal connection to the Haitian people, I think, is when I met that boy. And I had in my backpack all my work stuff. I had my laptop because when I was going to get to my destination on the other coastline, I had to work. I had to go to meetings. And so I think it carried with me, it brought me a bigger sense of purpose about my work in Haiti. Haiti is a very difficult place to work. Many challenges. It has a history of foreign intervention, interference and influence, but lots of positives too. Like I mentioned, a strong and resilient people. And they've got Rotarians in their corner now with HANWASH. I mean, if we put the situation in perspective in Haiti, right, it's often a story of despair, the one you read about in the papers. A presidential assassination, an earthquake, kidnappings and organized crime, a fuel shortage, roadblocks, and constant protests. All of those things have happened or are happening over the last 12 to 18 months. It's simply extraordinary. A silver lining perhaps to this, you know, if you think about what Haitians have been through, what the country's been through, is that the strength and the character and the backbone that builds in the people. I am constantly inspired by the resilience of the people. The country has problems, a lot of them, let's face it. But while those things are in my mind, that's not actually what I spend most of my time thinking about. What I think about are the possibilities. There's a grave need for water and sanitation in Haiti. Rotary, as you can imagine, has leveraged millions of dollars in resources over the years. By one statistic, roughly 4 dozen projects, roughly $5 million were mobilized after the earthquake in 2010, with many different Rotary clubs from all across the US and Canada and Europe through global grants. But there was a trend, 3 things in those projects that people noticed. One was that they were not talking to each other. They were being done in an uncoordinated fashion and not aligned with government policy. Another was that many of the projects had a humanitarian component to them, the distribution of filters for free, or Rotarians traveling to Haiti to build things. There wasn't a focus on sustainable development. And the third, and perhaps the most important, I think, is that those projects were not locally led. They weren't really being driven with meaningful input and participation and leadership from the Rotary clubs of Haiti and from the citizens and the elected leaders of the country. In 2018, I think on the back of efforts over years to put together the Caribbean Partnership and the support of the Caribbean Partnership in Haiti, like minds met in Haiti. There are a lot of familiar faces here. To start dreaming of a better future for WASH in Haiti. And this partnership was developed between 3 key organizations. The first was obviously District 7020, which at the time had sort of a trifecta of just a beautiful synergy, synchronicity of minds that were devoted to Haiti. You had President Barry Racine, you had District Governor Robert Léger, and you had the Prime Minister of the country, Jacques Lafontaine, a Rotarian. And these 3 were able to bring together different stakeholders to be able to discuss what the future of Haiti could look like if Rotary were to put its mind to an effort around water and sanitation. The Prime Minister was able to bring the Water and Sanitation Agency, DENEPA, to the table. And then there was a Rotarian who was leading an organization called Haiti Outreach. And these 3 organizations together, Rotarians brought the civil society component inside and outside Haiti. DENEPA sets the government guidelines and clears a pathway to engage local stakeholders. And Haiti Outreach, having worked there for 20 to 25 years, had developed a tried and tested model of engaging the local community in a sustainable way. So these 3 ingredients were what made HANWASH possible. Now notice what I did not mention there was financial resources. And the reason is because when you put those ingredients together and you have a model for something that can work, the money starts to follow. So our model is really demand-led. We work with the local actors in country to be able to articulate a vision for water and sanitation, and then to bring the resources to support that once the demand is there. And that's the key to unlocking sustainability. And the way to do that is to really listen to your Rotarian partners in country. I want to acknowledge the other partner organizations in HANWASH, many of whom are in this room. HANWASH, as I mentioned, would not be possible without the drive of Rotarians on the ground in Haiti, as well as Rotarians from all over the US and Canada and the Caribbean who are supporting them and working to help them articulate a vision for water and sanitation. Our partner clubs in Haiti are the Rotary Club of Cap-Haïtien, the Rotary Club of Pignon, the Rotary Club of Léogane, the Rotary Club of Pétionville, and the Rotary Club of Les Cayes, and the Rotary Club of Memorial des Gonaïves. 6 out of the 22 Rotary clubs in Haiti, the other 16 are asking when they can set up a partnership for their municipality. We have partnerships with districts too. In addition to our founding district, 7020, we have a partnership with District 5060 in the Pacific Northwest, partnership with District 5130 in California, District 6290 in Michigan, and District 6940, are you guys here? Yeah, Jan, awesome. 6940 in Florida, and District 6960, of course. Yes, I'm so glad to see you guys. District 6960 has brought so much energy to the HANWASH initiative and has really superpowered the work that we've been doing in our first pilot commune of Cavaillon. And I know that the Haitians and the Haitian Rotarians involved in HANWASH are deeply empathetic to what is happening right now in your district in Southwest Florida, and we stand with you. I want to tell you a story about how the HANWASH approach works on the ground. Here you see Assistant Governor André Wilden from the Rotary Club of Memorial des Gonaïves. He's what we call a HANWASH ambassador. He's an advocate. He gets up in front of the community and he tells the story about how Rotarians can make a difference. And then he goes out with those Rotarians in his club. He assembles a committee of 3 to 5 committed Rotarians from his club, and he goes out and he talks to local citizens, he talks to school children, he talks to the mayor, he talks to the elected councilors, and he encourages them to realize that they can do more for their community if they partner with Rotary. And this process can take a period of 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. It's an ongoing relationship. It's really about building trust. And A.G. Wilden is using in his case, he's a priest, and he uses his influence in the community to bring people to the table. And on that particular visit to the commune of Terre-Neuve, which is about an hour and a half drive from the city where A.G. Wilden lives, and he and his fellow Rotarians and Rotaractors have been tirelessly traveling to that commune to meet with local citizens. And on one such trip, they were up, in the mountains looking for the water source, and they came across it, and there were a number of children there with buckets around them, and one girl in particular they stopped to talk to, and they asked her how long she had been there at the water source, and she had been there since 6 o'clock in the morning, and it was 4 p.m. in the afternoon, and the reason why is because the water had dried up to a trickle, and there wasn't enough for all the people that were showing up to collect water. And the Rotarian asked her, how come you're not in school? And she said, well, I can't be in school. I'm the oldest of 7 kids, and I have to be here to collect water for my family. But she was there for, the distance to travel there was 3 hours there, 3 hours back, and there was no water when she showed up. So this is what we're working on in Haiti. But this is not a humanitarian project. This is a development project. And so the emphasis here is on building responsibility to take ownership for systems, water systems. And the way we do that is we conduct leadership trainings. We gather interested stakeholders, sometimes 40 to 50 of them, in a church or a public gathering point, and we talk to them about what it means to be able to take responsibility for the development of their community. And only when they are actually willing to show responsibility for the development of their community, then HANWASH, through international Rotary partners, will bring financial and technical resources to make those dreams work. And what does it mean to build responsibility? It means asking folks in that room, what is the vision for your town, for your community, for your fellow citizens, for your family? What's your vision? What's the future that you want to see? What kind of help do you need to get there? And it's not about money. We help them to realize it's about them having the intention to be involved as a volunteer, or paying for service on a regular basis, or showing up to meetings and mobilizing their fellow citizens. And that's what it means to take responsibility. It's having a vision and acting with intention to carry that out. And over a period of months, in partnership with the HANWASH ambassador and the mayor and the elected councilors, with these citizens, we build that partnership with them. We listen to them. Because the truth is, they have more to teach us than we'll ever have to teach them. And if we really want to see a Haitian-led solution for the challenges in Haiti, that has to come from Haitians. It can't be some international actors swooping in and saying, this is how you should fix your country. We have to let them articulate it and provide support. And if it doesn't work, okay, then they'll learn from that. We have to get out of the way. In this picture here, what you're seeing is a community gathering. I'm off to the left, but the fellow talking is past District Governor Robert Leger. He's speaking with the mayor and the elected councilors and a number of citizens who are on the WASH committee for the town of Cavaillon, and we're giving them an update on the project. We have an investment there, about $400,000 in a water system, the rehabilitation of a municipal water system. It's been a very difficult project. And when I was there in January, the mayor asked me, he goes, when is this project going to start? Or when is it going to be finished? And I said to him, well, it's January now, and I knew that things were moving slowly in Haiti, and we had some challenges with that project. And I said, well, you know what? I think June 30th is a realistic vision for that. 6 months. And June 30th came and went, and we had not broken ground yet because we had a little bit of a breakdown in the conversations related to the contracting and procurement process. And on, the last week of June, I was sweating, and I'm like, I have to call up the mayor. I have to fess up. Like, I feel, we have to be responsible too. And so I got on a Zoom call with him. They facilitated it. My team facilitated it, and we brought them together on the call, and we talked about the challenges that we'd had, and I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, I made a promise and I wasn't able to keep it. I said, I want you to know we're gonna fix this. We are gonna work damn hard to get this project done with you. And I said, we need a bit of time, but that's our commitment, and we're gonna be with you for the long term, because our vision is water and sanitation for every single citizen in Haiti, and we're not gonna stop till the job is done, just like polio. And so he said, you're working with Rotary, I trust you that you'll get the job done. It's okay. You have our support. We will get there. And for me, that was really profound evidence of the partnership and the trust that the mayor of that commune has in Rotary. I want to just talk a little bit about the principle of self-determination, which I think is really core to the model of HANWASH. Self-determination is allowing people to articulate what the vision is for their future, for their life, and giving them the tools to be able to do it themselves. And that's all we are. Haitians are the customer for me. Haitian Rotarians are the customer for me. And I think that if we took that approach on every global grant, that would be pretty cool. And I think a lot of that is happening. But I know that there are global grants out there where that model is not being followed. And I think that HANWASH can offer a recipe for how we do it. And what does it mean in practice? It means when we're having a conversation and we're not hearing the value of responsibility articulated, or we're not seeing the local leadership, we're not seeing the participation or the ownership, or someone's not showing up to a Zoom call or to a meeting, we cancel it. And that means the project goes slower. But that's what it needs to happen. That's how it works. In this picture here, we are developing a water system in the town of Pignon. And the equipment that you see there is equipment that has been brought to the water operator through the global grant that we have financed there with the Rotary Club of Pignon and the District of 6940. And the water operator, the local staff, are learning how to use that to be able to detect leaks underground. And this sort of collaboration is really what it gets at the heart of. It's listening to what their needs are, their questions, thinking about what kinds of training needs they have to be able to make this water system operate on a sustainable basis. Thinking about how to deliver, customer service, being able to reach clients and talk to them about the importance of paying for drinking water to keep the system functional for a long period of time. And we develop training manuals for them that respond to their needs. So being able to support them like that, that's the essence of a true partnership, is really just being able to listen to what kind of support they need from us. This is a picture of District Governor Robert Léger, past District Governor Robert Léger, fist bumping with the Mayor of Cavaillon and their signed partnership. And for me, this picture really emphasizes the way in which we put the local government, and they give them the lead seat at the table to be able to decide what the priorities are for their citizens. And I think the work that we're doing in Cavaillon provides an incredible recipe for the rest of Haiti. It's a pilot program, and we've made mistakes, and we're stumbling, absolutely stumbling. But we envision a model where the Club of Lake Kai can start to partner with other Rotary clubs in Haiti in sort of a peer-to-peer mentoring model to help them be able to expand a footprint for WASH throughout the country in partnership with local citizens. I think the key insight that we've gotten from HANWASH is that Rotarians in Haiti and around the world are more than just engaged volunteers, but they actually represent what we call civil society. And we know that for us to be able to combat some of the world's biggest problems, we really need to be able to work through local civil society, citizens groups, women's groups, self-help groups, community-based organizations. This is the only way that we can be able to tackle some of the world's biggest problems. And as UNICEF USA CEO Michael Nyenhuis mentioned, Rotarians and UNICEF are partnered on the ground. They are there in the villages where these needs are, and they understand the problems, and they're able to bring voice to that and be able to amplify the needs of local citizens. And I think that power of tapping into civil society into citizens' voices is really what HANWASH is bringing to the table here. And we're finding ways to scale that up from the 20,000 people that we're reaching now, as you'll see on our booth in the House of Friendship, to the 700,000 people that are in the 5 communes where we are currently present, and eventually to the 11.4 million people in Haiti that need better access to water and sanitation. So this picture, I think, for me, just sort of signifies the starting point of HANWASH, and we're sort of somewhere in the middle right now. There's people laughing in the room because they get it. We sort of sometimes go around in circles and try to figure things out because Haiti's a difficult place to work. And as CEO, I feel responsible for the mess sometimes. Well, all the time. But I'm so encouraged by what we're building, and I think I'm so grateful to the patience that Rotarians have with me as I try to unscramble the path forward. And I hope that we can sorry, I'm getting emotional again. Haiti is a difficult place to work, and I think that this is sort of symbolic of the challenges that we're working through. Someone said to me, a close friend, said to me recently. He goes, Ryan, I think it's amazing. You're working on this initiative. You're building something. It's a startup and it's incredibly powerful. But you must be so frustrated. Every week you're putting out fires and there's this disaster and that disaster. How do you deal with it? And I just said, well, that's why HANWASH exists. Because these challenges are there in Haiti. That's why HANWASH was created, to get through that. And so when I look at that mess, for me, that's the problem we're trying to solve. And so when I get discouraged, the way I put a smile on my face is I say, okay, cool, this is part of it. This is it. This is why we exist. This is what we're trying to solve. And we need your help to do that. So please drop by our booth in the Friends for Friendship, pick up a card, sign up to our mailing list, talk to someone, talk to Jan, PDG Jan from District 6940, ask her about HANWASH. I know that many, many, many of you, your clubs and your districts have supported HANWASH through global grants, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I tell you, we're just getting started, guys. We got a long way to go. We've got a lot more work to do. Thank you very much.
My name is Rudy Garcia, and I have the honor and privilege of being the District Governor-elect for Rotary District 7600 in Central Virginia. And I'm also a member of the class of captains. Ryan, on behalf of each and every Rotarian in the room, thank you for all you are doing to make a difference in Haiti. With Haiti as part of District 7020 and our zones, we have a number of champions who have worked hard to improve the lives of Haitians. Ryan, you really encapsulated the power of relationship and fellowship in your opening statement. Our integrated circles make all of us more connected and better able to serve others. HANWASH is a model for how working with and supporting local stakeholders can strengthen programs and projects on the ground, and is a great lesson for all of us who are doing good in the world. Thank you for making a difference in the lives of so many with this program. As I mentioned, I'm currently a district governor-elect, which means that last year I was a district governor nominee. The year before that, I was a num-num. And if all goes well, next year I'll be district governor. I'm beginning to notice some common themes, and our next three presenters are going to clue us in on what those themes are. So please welcome to the stage the district governor nominee from District 7730, C.J. Crook, the district governor from 6920 and a former captain, Heather Kellen, and the district governor-elect from District 7280, Captain John Marshall.
Goodness. So hey, John, CJ.
Hey.
How's your guys' year been going?
Just fantastic. It's going good. I'm doing all this Rotary learning stuff, but on those modules, how many more of those governor modules are there in the Learning Center?
A lot.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. I was wondering how, I'm sorry. I'm spending my year just learning mostly about my clubs.
I'm spending my year eating lots of chicken.
Chicken, chicken, chicken.
This year has been great. When I go to my club meeting, they know who I am, they welcome me, they want to take my picture. I mean, I'm kind of a celebrity.
When I go to a meeting, I tell them who I am, and I just go sit in the corner. When I go to a meeting, I tell them who I am, and they ask if I want to join Rotary. Yeah. Isn't that good?
Oh my gosh, but the best part is when I speak at a club. I mean, usually I stand up, I give a message, and I get a standing ovation.
And when I go to speak at a club, I'm just kind of part of the announcements. And everybody just sitting there whispering, who is that guy? When I speak at a club, it costs me $1, and I have to tell them why I'm happy.
Haven't you guys had some great district meetings, though? I mean, everybody's interested in what I have to say, what the new district initiatives are, what our goals are for the year.
And when I go to a district meeting, they just want to know what I'm going to be doing for the next year. I'm not at district meetings. I think they might forget to invite me.
Hey, Jeremy, I want you to know, where is Jeremy? Did he leave? That I am fully implementing the membership action plan.
And so am I. I know it's a 2-year commitment.
Which one's Jeremy? Oh, Jeremy! Jeremy, can you email me that member? No.
I'm telling you guys, I am so busy though. Oh my gosh, my emails are just massive every day. It's like every minute of my day is spent on Rotary.
I don't know what she's talking about. I'm not very busy at all. I go golfing. I've been on 2 family trips already.
Yeah, I'm on the beach most days and drinking cocktails.
I'm really looking forward to completing this Rotary year and getting my P.
And I'm looking forward to becoming the cheerleader in chief.
I'm looking forward to going to San Diego.
It's Orlando.
What? Nobody told me, really? Orlando! Thank you.
Rotarians and guests, please welcome to the stage past District Governor Stephen Beer from Rotary District 7600.
Greetings, Rotarians. It is my honor and pleasure to introduce Patricia Sanchez-Bao. Mrs. Sanchez-Bao is the Senior Officer of Global Health at the United Nations Foundation. She leads the implementation of UN Foundation's advocacy, communications, and resource utilization strategy in advanced global support for malaria elimination in Latin America and the Caribbean. Mrs. Sanchez-Bao has many years of experience working on advancing human development for indigenous, women, and other vulnerable populations. In the past, Mrs. Sanchez-Bao's recommendations, which draw from her deep understanding of stakeholder concerns, have been used to establish capacity building programs and improve our public and private sector performance. She brings particular expertise in international development, corporate social responsibility, public-private partnerships for poverty intervention or alleviation, knowledge management, strategic communication, and systematic monitoring and evaluation. She holds a master's degree in cultural anthropology from the University of Virginia, a licenciatura in social anthropology, and a bachelor's in social sciences from the Pontificia Universidad Católica del Perú. Patty has been a great partner as we work together in efforts to eliminate malaria in Latin America and the Caribbean. Please give a warm and hearty welcome to Patricia Sanchez-Bao.
You can be part of the generation to beat malaria for good. Over the past 20 years, the world has made incredible progress, cutting the malaria death rate by half and saving more than 10 million lives. The UN Foundation's United to Beat Malaria campaign, formerly known as Nothing But Nets, is proud to be part of this global effort. But this collective progress is at risk. Although many countries are close to wiping out the disease, progress has stalled in sub-Saharan Africa, where the malaria burden is greatest. Today, a child dies of malaria nearly every minute. Malaria also disproportionately impacts pregnant women and communities most affected by poverty, displacement, and climate change. This is a historic injustice. But it does not have to be this way. Can we be the generation to beat malaria for good? We all have a role to play. Anyone can be part of this global movement to be the generation that beats malaria for good. We need you. Make your voice heard. Raise awareness and raise funds. Advocate to elected officials. Activate friends, family, and colleagues. Working together, we can achieve a malaria-free world. Will you join us? We are united to beat malaria.
Good morning, everyone. everyone. I'm Patricia Sanchez, Senior Officer for Global Health at the United Nations Foundation, and I'm honored to be speaking today at the Impact Summit 2022 in Baltimore. Thank you for welcoming here. I would like to start by saying that the UN Foundation works as a strategic partner to help the UN mobilize the ideas, people, and resources it needs to deliver and grow diverse and durable constituents for collective action. We focus on issues at the heart of the Sustainable Development Goals or the global goals to achieve a healthier planet and world. We are working across sectors to solve problems at scale and engage influencers and citizens who seek action. Today I feel particularly touched by hearing all the different experiences that Rotary brings into the table. As I think everyone knows, partnership and the power of a smart and a strategic collaboration are in everyone's DNA right now. I can see it in every single table here. We believe everyone has a part to play. Everyone's voice should be heard and everyone has a stake. We are proud to partner with a range of organizations on a variety of projects and campaigns because we believe that when we work together, we can increase our impact and help the UN do more to deliver progress for everyone, everywhere. Since its inception, the UN Foundation works closely with Rotary International on the Global Polio Eradication Initiative to advocate for the eradication of polio worldwide. Every year, the UN Foundation's Shot at Life campaign champions, of which many are Rotarians, meet with members of Congress to advocate for the United States' continuous investment in the promise of a polio-free world. This year is no different. This year is key for the polio eradication movement, and we are going to see this in the World Health Summit in October. We need your support. We need your voices to make those $4.8 billion being met. The target needs to be met. Moreover, Rotarians must be proud to have supported the vaccination of over 2.5 billion children around the world and pushed polio to a few pockets in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I believe it will be Rotarians who will end this fight because I have seen it in my own country. Back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, Peru was submerged in conflict. In areas affected by conflict, health centers were bombed and health workers were attacked. In the middle of ambushes and kidnapping, Dr. Roger Zapata, a fellow Rotarian, was trying to help establish surveillance systems and immunization campaigns to end polio in Peru. He traveled 10 hours by road to reach rural communities in the jungle, track suspected cases, and vaccinate children. According to Dr. Zapata, to come here we had to be bold and a bit crazy. Just as today, mistrust contributed to low vaccination rates in towns affected by conflict. In August 1991, Dr. Zapata found the last case of polio in the Americas in the town of Pichanaki in Peru. The discovery triggered a massive house-to-house polio vaccination campaign. Community-based vaccination teams composed of nurses, teachers, and mothers were mobilized to end the disease. The vaccination teams combed the mountains, up and down muddy jungle paths, to find children to immunize. Finally, in 1994, the region of the Americas was declared polio-free. In Peru, the celebration took place in Pichanaki, where leaders from the Ministry of Health, Rotary, UNICEF, PAHO, and USA traveled to the jungle to join community vaccination teams in a celebratory toast. This story shows us that when we act together, change happens. But we must remember that progress is also fragile. In recent years, we have seen polio emerging in parts of the world where we haven't seen cases in decades, including the United States. We need stronger partnerships and collective action to get back on track and deliver a sustainable world for our children, their children, and the generations to come. Everyone here has a story of what moves you to do the work that you are doing. My story, I will say, was when I was back in Peru and I was raised by my indigenous nanny, and see the difference
of her life and the life of their children versus what it was my life and privilege shocked me tremendously to become an anthropologist and work for indigenous people in Latin America and the Caribbean. Then I became a mother, and that's the moment when I started to join the United to Beat Malaria campaign, because I could not imagine the level of anxiety that mothers live in countries around the world where mosquitoes are thriving, to just go to sleep and think that your child will die because of a mosquito bite. With that thought in mind, I would like to talk about the work of the UN Foundation's United to Beat Malaria campaign. In its 15-year history, United to Beat Malaria has helped protect more than 39 million people in malaria-endemic countries by providing access to life-saving malaria tools. United to Beat Malaria is the world's largest grassroots campaign working together to save lives by bringing together the UN partners, the advocates, and organizations to raise awareness, funds, and voices to protect vulnerable families from malaria. Every minute, a child dies from malaria, an entirely preventable and treatable disease. Our malaria projects prioritize young children and mothers, pregnant women, refugees, and internally displaced persons, hard-to-reach communities with little to no healthcare access, and frontline health workers who fight malaria in these communities. Those same communities that you are also supporting with a multitude of projects touching on empowerment of women and children, touching on education, touching on HANWASH, is amazing. It's just to see the connections and see the potential. We truly set United to Beat Malaria apart is this grassroots focus and its mandate in the United States. The goal of United to Beat Malaria is to make advocacy accessible so that everyone with the passion and the desire can impact real change. We work with everyday people across the United States, including Rotarians and Rotary clubs, to prepare them to advocate for a strong bipartisan support for the U.S. President's Malaria Initiative and the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. Every year, our malaria champions meet with members of Congress, make calls to congressional offices, write letters to the editors, and more. I'm proud to say that this year, the persistent efforts of our champions and strong bipartisan support helped us secure $6 billion pledge to the Global Fund to fight AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria, 7 replenishment, which took place last week at UNGA, and $820 million for the U.S. President's Malaria Initiative. That is on you. And I'm hoping for the same for the Global Polio Eradication Initiative in October. We can do this. You have shown it for so many years. I know that I don't have the amount of experience that I can see in this room, but I believe and I see it that you guys can do this, everyone. This funding is going to protect millions of people from malaria or from polio, strengthen global health security, and help address pressing obstacles like drug resistance, insecticide resistance, or the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. I have had the opportunity to travel with United to Beat Malaria to countries affected by malaria, including Haiti. So I feel you when you get emotional. It's just so hard to talk about Haiti, where I have seen doctors worry about pregnant mothers contracting malaria, mothers suffering from seeing their children sick, and teachers worrying about students missing classes due to disease. I have also traveled to countries where malaria has been eliminated, like El Salvador and Belize, where malaria is just a painful memory that people can now leave behind. My hope is that our Rotarian partners will continue to participate in these advocacy efforts to keep the United States committed to disease elimination. We need to continue to stronghold that cause, disease elimination. I'm looking forward for Rotarians working to support education programs, and for these programs to maybe consider and include malaria prevention education in the school curricula. For Rotarians working on wash and sanitation programs in malaria-endemic countries to consider including environmental cleaning strategies to destroy mosquito breeding sites near houses. We are here because the Rotarians are working everywhere That's how I see it. There are clubs everywhere, in every single country, especially in those countries that need the most support. So I'm just asking you now to, as well as to keep polio as the main priority of Rotary, and we are also fulfilling that as the UN Foundation. We are committed for polio eradication. We are also looking into talking about the future. What comes next? And then to try to have those conversations with the Rotarians colleagues that are already working on malaria, like the Rotarians Against Malaria or Malaria Partners International, so we can deliver on the promise on the Sustainable Development Goals and a better world. Together, we are stronger and can do more for our future. Everyone has a role to play. Please join us. Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, Patty, for your wonderful presentation. I'm sure many in this room were not aware of the role the UN Global Fund plays in supporting the elimination of malaria. I frankly wasn't aware of the scale of the problem, and I was personally touched by the work you're doing to solve that problem. We sincerely appreciate your time with us this morning. I look forward to your continued collaboration with those in our Rotary organization who are focused on malaria eradication. Now, this is the end of the third general session, and I know you've learned a lot and I've learned a lot, but there are a couple of announcements that I wanted to make before you go. These were impressed upon me by Marcy. Make sure you get these out there. Please visit our House of Friendship. These vendors support us. Please support them. The RLI Sunshine Division, Zone 33, Gold Coast RLI, will be meeting at 1 p.m. in the Frederick Room. The Caribbean Partnership will be meeting at 4 p.m. in the Columbia Room. Class dinners are this evening. Enjoy time with your classmates, and we'll see you bright and early, 8:15 tomorrow morning. We have a special treat to open our session. You won't want to miss the fun. And this is important. Remember to hold on to your backstage pass, okay? Thank you. Have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.